Hello, this is Doc LP. This is the Stufflight Express podcast. The first episode, actually, since I've planned to do this but never knew just how. No, actually, I knew how to start. But I didn't know that the video would be so impulsive, so to speak. As you can tell from the title, this is on the new trailer of GTA 6 that only recently released, and I want to share my thoughts on it and discuss it at length, discuss what I think the game will be, discuss where it will lead in the grand scheme of gaming as a whole, because I believe it's highly likely that it's gonna leave a dent as Rockstar did with GTA 5, and I want to dive into it not just actually not at all superficially. I don't even want to speak on the characters. I find them intriguing. I love the Bonnie and Clyde dynamic that is very apparent, but I specifically want to speak on things I believe that are highly likely to be in the game, at least in my belief. For example, that you would, like, how many buildings would you be able to enter? How many are there restaurants? Are there gyms you can enter? Like, imagine all the possibilities. Imagine, like, if you can just enter a big skyscraper and you can walk all the way to the top in it. And you couldn't do that in GTA 5, and I was hoping that you could in GTA 5, but you couldn't. And I was also hoping for restaurants, like because there already was in the past there was restaurants in GTA. In GTA 4 there was, but never in GTA 5, and I would have loved that. It's just a little detail I like. When you look at a world like that, a big city that you portray in a video game format, then being able to enter the buildings would add so much depth to it. Also, gameplay wise, online wise, when you play online or even in single player, that you would be able to go into these buildings and have your gameplay extend into there. You're chased down by the police and you just enter a building instead of having to run around on the outside. You can go into buildings and hide there and have matches in there. Like, the shooting inside would also be different than outside, and like the blend over, or like being able to break the glass, and like when you're parachuting, you would just crash through a skyscraper window. I don't know if the physics will be good enough by then. I'm not on the forefront of it. I'm stuck in the Nintendo DS era mentally. The only modern thing, or the only game I play outside of my own Let's Plays right now, is the new Zelda. That's the only thing I currently play. Everything else of the new generation, mostly the last 3 years, completely bypassed me. I've only revisited old games. I've always liked old franchises. I've revisited The Elder Scrolls a bunch of times, Oblivion and Skyrim. More recently, Oblivion. And DS games as a whole. I know my things, but I'm not at the forefront of where the current technological standard is for physics engines in video games. I don't know about that, but I'm still looking. If that is possible by then. I don't know if there will be PlayStation 6 by then. I don't even know how long the PS5 is on the market already, but the PlayStation 6 might then be able to run a physics engine capable of, for example, organically breaking glass when you jump through it, and then you could integrate indoor landscapes and whole buildings. Imagine a whole skyscraper being fully accessible And then imagine the NPCs having routines, have the NPCs having a daily schedule. They follow the NPCs going certain places, certain times, and you can follow them, and they just live their day. And then were you to kill them, imagine they would actually remove the body in like a realistic way, that like an ambulance or something would pull up and they would actually take them and put them away. You could like follow them at the whole process, and then a new NPC would move into the apartment. You know where I'm going with this, like how it would be realistically. But I think that would completely blow up the medium, and that would completely blow up the limitations of what even would be possible conceptually, or what would be even useful, what would even aid the game experience, because that wouldn't make the game great per se. It would make it, I mean, it would be amazing details, but that isn't what makes GTA great, right? That's something that's to marvel at, of course, but it wouldn't be what makes the game. Like, what will make the game in the end is like the charm and what they always pulled off. I've always thought of GTA as like a giant, in one aspect only, it's so many things, but one aspect is that it's a parody of the current zeitgeist. It's a perfect depiction of what's going on in the culture, and they just mock it to the top, and they predict new things. They predict where the world is going. They over exaggerate current trends or future trends, and it's amazing. And I would also love to know how they will incorporate the online mode, and how everything will bleed together in the end. Because when there was GTA 5, I was thinking, okay, how would someone who develops this go on to the next thing? Because topping that, and the vastness of the world, and the detail, and the exact concoction of the world, like what was special about the GTA 5 world was the contrast between nature and the city. And would you be able to go into that realm again, build another city with nature again, and top that? And I was always pretty reluctant to believe that, and I would, if you would ask me this 2 weeks ago, I would tell you that I assume they would move into a different direction, and maybe make like a really big utopian city, not even futuristically, but that they would focus on a more vast city landscape instead of incorporating that much nature. But looking at the trailer, you see that apparently you will be able to access a lot of nature, and even more vast than the nature in GTA 5. I mean, if you look at how the technical aspect of like I just said, like how the technical aspect of everything also improves. It's no wonder that they could just top that 10 years later, and it's just a matter of waiting for the technical abilities to catch up, which they now seemingly did. And it's also 2 more years until the release, which I also think is a good thing, because then you have to wait, and your own life can change. I'm also very curious about where I will be in my life once this game comes out, and where everything is gonna be, where I will still be doing this channel if the plan continues like it does now. How will everything be? Like think of your own life. Think of what could be until then. And then you play that story and you explore that world. And I'm very curious about it, definitely. Even though it will be a leap for me, since I haven't haven't indulged in much modern gaming, in much modern video games. I've been, like I said, I've been stuck in my DS era, being there in my Wii era, in my PS3, PS4 era, my type of games, and I stopped gaming around 5 years ago, at least regularly, and I would revisit older games quite frequently actually, but I wouldn't be on the new thing, I wouldn't be on the current standard game. It stopped around Fortnite. I would leave the scene so to say, and stay with the things I came to love and revisit them in rotation, basically. As you can hear in the background, you've got my background music choice. I don't know if this podcast continues, right? Like I wanna do these episodes weekly. This is at least the current plan that I devised. The current concoction of my thoughts is doing this weekly, to just speak on topics I like. I would love to invite guests. I'll see about what I will do, or what even makes sense. I have someone chopping up a giant. I can literally see the person. There is my neighbor. He's currently chopping up a. He's chopping up a gigantic wooden barrel, which he first intended. He's a good guy. We talk sometimes, not a lot, but sometimes we have a chat. He's chopping up a giant barrel, which he intended to be a sauna, which he didn't turn to a sauna. And I don't know what he is intending to do with the wood that he will gain from the venture of departing or taking apart the barrel. I don't know what he's going to do with it, but as you can hear from the knocks in the background, he's currently chopping it up. And yeah, the other thing you hear in the background is the Pokemon Diamond soundtrack. It doesn't have anything to do with GTA. What I even just said doesn't have anything to do with GTA. That should be the main topic, and that's also the impulse that triggered me to even record this, because that thing just came out, and I thought, and I also had the idea for the podcast, and 2 days prior to that or something, I thought, damn, this is the perfect time for me to dive in and talk on something that is close to the current zeitgeist and really connect to the culture. If you stumble across this, I greet you. There's probably thousands of more detailed videos on the actual trailer where they speak on what you can actually see in the trailer. I'm just blabbing away what I think. I'm just blabbing away what I feel about the trailer, what I think it's gonna be, what I hope it's gonna be, and or even I even might just talk about other things that come to my mind, like Pokemon soundtrack. And that's it. And that's what I want to do with the podcast. Invite someone, and dive into their world. That's so it's called traveling to the world of. And if I invite someone, it's traveling. It's not traveling to the world of GTA 6. It's traveling to the world of Person X. And then we would go into their magical own, fantastical world. How they think of certain things, nostalgic things. Like these intricate things I also like to talk about in my Let's Plays, like how I feel about the soundtrack of certain games and how the certain cities in Pokemon have inspired me to, I don't know, a lot of times I would go to a real city that is near me, and I would nostalgically think of a Pokemon soundtrack that would fit there, or what city it reminds me of. It would just pop to my mind and would be a magical moment. I want to know, and I want to bring you or the world these type of thoughts, these very intimate little moments and magical nuances of life, and that coupled with video games and other art, and we would talk about that, and that I think is a great podcast to make. And it's the Starflight Express. If you haven't played Dragon Quest IX, I will someday play it on this channel, and you'll know what the Starflight Express is. You can Google it. You can play the game yourself. It's a magical train that travels through the realms, and yeah. This is basically what we're doing on this podcast, right? We're traveling through the realms right now. We're traveling near the realm of GTA 6. Sitting in the Starflight Express. I'm having a coffee. You can have a tea, you can have a coffee as well. Whatever you're having. Maybe you're watching this while having dinner, but you can imagine us sitting in that train. I hopefully also put a picture as the background. I probably did, because that's what I envision it to be. There should be this golden train. Like, imagine us sitting in like an apartment in there, like in Harry Potter, like sitting in the apartment. It's all a little bit golden, but not in a how do you say, not in a royal golden way, but in like a magical genuine golden way, you know, not in like a flexing golden way, not in a not in a pompous way. It's not over the top. It's just how the train is, just gold. It doesn't want to be, it just is. So that's that, yeah. So if you hear me sip on coffee in the background, yeah, that's because I don't cut that. I mean, it's got to be genuine. It's got to be genuine. Like, I don't want to cut out how I sip on my coffee, because that's just what I do. I capture the moment. Also, stop removing like the sizzling of my microphone, because that's just what it is. If I don't want that, I would upgrade my microphone. And also not do another take of this podcast, because my neighbor's chopping up his wooden barrel next to me. It's just what it is. It's also what I think is beautiful about that, about capturing that pure moment, and cutting that together would take away from what I'm trying to do. I understand when you do it. I understand that if you want to have a podcast that is very concise about a certain topic, like the Huberman Lab podcast, right? That thing is scheduled. That thing is to the point. But this is not to the point. This is doing the exact opposite. It's extending the scope. It's not narrowing down the scope on certain topics, and I don't have to deliver concise information. I broaden the picture, and I capture emotion, and I dive into that, and maybe you can take something away and live better. That's what I'm doing. Salute, my friends. And that's what I also look for from the trailer, because I could see that. Imagine like how the weather would be, the weather engine, how the people would interact, how you could walk through different areas of the city at different daytimes, and you could dive into that magic if you wanted, and like look at what they did, what they created, right? And how the rain would hit the floor, how the sun would reflect on the windows, and how they would all pull that off, and that's what I'm very curious about. The customizations you can make, the way you can like I would literally, that's how I play video games. I would literally walk into shops or something and really imagine myself, like really immerse myself. I don't just run around and unrealistically do the thing that is conducive to completing the game, right? You could just sprint everywhere in GTA and just get to the missions and get it done. But I always would find myself in any game actually to even roleplay, to literally roleplay, put my mind in that and actually behave like the character would, or like play as if, you know, and really immerse myself and like actually walk slow at points. Not every time, because you don't want to play the game for 24/7. You don't want to live in it. I mean that's also, I mean that's a tendency. That's what in the end, that's what the game, if it's really good, makes you want to do, to like actually live in there at least for a while and be in there and stay there. But that's the beauty of it, that you only stay for that amount of time, and then you have to leave again and leave that work of art, like you leave the cinema again after a great movie. But you have to do that yourself and get up and go back to your own life, to your own video game, to the real game, seemingly. If that's even real. Because what are dreams? What are thoughts? It's another whole discussion. That's also the beauty of it, I think. And that right there was the essence of what this podcast should be. That type of talk. That's it. Yeah, and I've always thought, how did they, from such a detailed world that was GTA 5, how do you even fathom going forward from that? How do you even conceptualize where you will go? Because they've checked every box they could check with that game, in the realm of what they wanted to do with that game. And I thought, okay, after you pull something like this off, you'll definitely switch lanes and pull something else amazing off, but do so in a different realm. But it seems to me that they went back to the same realm, because there seems to be same thing. It's Vice City. It's similar to Los Santos. You have the beach, you have city, you have nature, you have all that, and you combine that, and it's the same cocktail. And they seemingly, like, looking at the trailer, looking at the graphics, looking at the vastness of the world, looks like they're topping it. We'll have to play it in the end, of course, but looks like they've topped the thing. And also hope for the online mode, which I won't play much, not much at least. I'll probably dive into it a bit, but not do it like I did in the first GTA Online, because I would play it. That was my online game of the youth. That was my online gaming. Other online games, they couldn't measure. I was never so much into an online game like I was into that. Never. And I hope they start like they did in GTA 5. They start minimally. They start with realistic cars, and then they slowly turn up the altitude, like they did with the first online, where because in the beginning it was mostly realistic. It wasn't as over the top as the current state of GTA Online, because the current state of GTA Online is flying cars, flying motorcycles, and I would like that to be not there, at least in the beginning. I mean, I would like that to be not there at all, because I think it takes away from the realness of it, but I understand it. I understand that it's fun for the online mode, but I like that when you're looking at the whole trajectory of the first GTA Online, you can see in the beginning it was very realistic, with very little cars, very little unrealistic things, jetpack, everything. And that ratio would slowly change over the years, and you had different eras. You had an era where there was only one flying car and was the biggest thing ever. One era where there was the heists came out for the first time. You could rob a bank, and all these things, they faded in slowly. I think if they pull that off in their own way, in its own way, then that would be the most beautiful way to do it. And not just have it there all at once. And it would also be more beautiful than just having one basic game and leaving it at that. I mean, I liked the state of the first GTA Online more when it was minimal, when I looked back to that more with more delight, because that's just what I like more. But the modern player likes flying cars and all these things. I think if they want to go there again, I wouldn't knock it at all, because I understand it, and we'll just hope for a gradual increase of these things, or different eras where you can like look back. Okay, in the first year, you only had these things. In the second year you had these things, and you can like look back, and the game, the whole GTA Online thing was so different in the first year or the first years than it was in the later years, and you could the difference was day night. It was a whole different game, but you still had the same character and the same friends maybe you played this with, so you could go through the eras, and it was a whole journey on itself. It was truly an amazing time, amazing zeitgeists. Like, it was multiple eras. It was over the course of multiple years I would play this game, and it would just truly amaze me how like now when I look back, it truly amazes me how that can change so in such a fundamental way. The way you think, like the way the money, how much the money is even worth, because towards the more recent years of GTA Online, you would just have different means of getting dollars. You would be able to even run a business, basically. You would be able to, I learned so much about productive work through playing that. You know, you can't even imagine like how you would prepare for selling things, like how you would work in advance to then release the things. That's how I do it with my videos. I make them, then I schedule them out, then I look in the future and see how I do that, and I don't just run all the time, and I don't want just upload everything same day impulsively and then quit again. Like, I look into the future and I build a concept, and then I fill that out, and then I schedule the things to go, and what I think GTA Online and the online businesses, like where you had to steal the cars and like store them and then sell them, right? You had to kind of plan it, and I did that, and it left a dent, I would say. Definitely left a dent in me that I would look at real life that way, at least the things I was passionate about, and it would contribute to my discipline in that, definitely. And it definitely benefited my ventures in life, for sure. So and that difference between the beginning, where you would just run around the map and have it as a multiplayer, which you would expect in the beginning, because you wouldn't expect to be able to run online, run enterprises in the online mode. It would just be online mode of the normal game, and you would have your friends, and that was cool. Then over time they would add things, and I would love the same spirit, or the same concept of it, like evolution doesn't have to be with the same things, but just evolution for the online mode, where you would have a whole different game seemingly in let's say 3 years from release compared to the first year. I think that's just beautiful, because that was very beautiful in the first one. And I've actually predicted it pretty well. I wasn't sure. I was I was thinking in between the two ideas of either it's gonna be one male main character or a man and a woman. I wouldn't imagine multiple men again. I wouldn't imagine it to be like GTA 5 in the story mode. But the current zeitgeist of the whole culture of the world, I would expect at least a female character. And doing more than 2 characters would also blow up the limits, I believe. And from what it looks like, you can switch between those 2 characters, the man and the woman, and you can switch, and that's it. I think that's beautifully pulled off, because the current zeitgeist of how the world just is, how the whole pop culture evolved, it's pretty apparent that they would incorporate a woman in that, but I just wouldn't believe that it would be just one woman as the main character. It wouldn't have surprised me very much where it to be, but it would how would you say it? It wouldn't disappoint me, but I always like a male main character, because you can identify. personally, because I am male, I would very much identify with that. Because I'm a man, I look at a man in the game and I can identify more. Though you could say, yeah, you could still experience the game through a female character's perspective, which is very true. But for something like GTA, which has always been close to my heart because that was one of the games of my youth, GTA 5 and 4, then I would like it to be a male character in the story, because I could connect more. I mean, I would still play it if there was only the female character, for sure. I would still play it. I would still dive in. It would still be great, probably. I'm just glad that they pulled it off that way. That was actually my ideal scenario. That was my ideal prediction for what that could be, and they just did just that. And I find that amazing. I find that very amazing, and I'm very glad they do it that way. And I can, yeah, I can play that guy. He also looks cool. I like how neutral he is. No tattoos. Yeah, because you gotta think, they have to supply this game to such a broad audience of so many different people with so many different backgrounds, and making something that speaks to the people that just want action and that just want to like play GTA for shooting around, and balancing it with people who place a lot of focus on the intricacies, the small details of the stories and the world, like I do, then you would have a different approach. You would have a whole different game if you just curated the game towards the action plays. You would have a whole different game if you just curated it towards the more slow players like me, where they would look at the world very, very much, and marrying that and finding the right main characters for that is a big challenge. Imagine what's going on at their headquarters, like especially after something as impactful as GTA 5. But I think what made Rockstar great always is their ability to still just pull off what they like to pull off, and that's what the fans look for, right? Like they don't just bow to the will of their fan base, right? To some extent they look at that, I'm sure, of course, but then they say, okay, what do we want to create? Where can we take it? Where can we take it just egoistically? What do we want to do? What do we want to express? What is our current impression of the zeitgeist? And I really like that you have a seemingly very interwoven, loyal couple as the main characters. Like you have this, from what it looks like now, it's this dreamy depiction of a Bonnie and Clyde relationship, of like a very a relationship that has struggles, for sure. Relationship that has probably lasted for many years in the past, and that has gone through struggle, right? You can see that trust, right? The scene. And portraying something like that in a world that is driven, that is more driven by impulse nowadays, displaying a monogamy, and not just like one character who's you could also imagine they make one male character and he's like a player, and that's it, and that's what you have for the main character. But depicting a monogamous, struggle-ridden relationship, that's gonna be a dramatic story, and that's perfect, I think, because that's getting more rare these days, right? Because just how the culture is. This whole different discussion. How the culture is, everything is more impulsive, everything is more short term, and you don't have as many people making a long term investment into their relationship, and that magic of a relationship like that has lasted long, and both are still all in, even through struggle. And I think that's a beautiful thing to pull off in especially the times we're in right now. I think that it's an amazing choice. It's an amazing choice to make, and, let alone from how they design these characters. It's also what you have to pay a lot of attention to because you're supplying that game to so many people. You can't go too niche, right? You can't just appeal to one archetype of player. So I think everything about it is pulled off really well from what I can see. What I've also loved, I don't know if this could be just a coincidence, because the colors of Vice City have always been that way, but the colors of Vice City, or like the design of the logos you could see in the trailer, and the pictures they put out as well, how the Grand Theft Auto, the text of it and everything, the pinks and the whites and the clean white of the text of the logo, it really reminds me of the Instagram app design, right? And in the trailer you also have a lot of scenes where you see live streams and social media imitations, and I think that might be a little nudge to the current zeitgeist as well, because everyone's on Instagram. That's the biggest thing ever, and everyone's on Reels. Everything is locked in there. The draw of the new media is getting stronger and stronger, and that's where all the people are. That's where the zeitgeist is. The Reels, the captions as well. And they use the same text as well for the social media captions and the comments, and it all looks how it would look in real life, right? On the screen, in the apps. And I think that the colorway of Vice City just complements that zeitgeist, because it also nudges its head to the design of Instagram, because that's just where the whole world is. It connects, it clicks with the zeitgeist. It doesn't even have to be like an exact imitation of the colorways, but it's just similar to it, and that's what I like about that. Because I mean, yeah, like I said, Vice City had those colors also in the past when the Vice City game came out. But now it's like you return to that in a new light, and you have the same colors, but those colors now also can be a little side note to where the world currently is. So just a little thought I want to put out there, because maybe that's gonna have more meaning. I think it's gonna be a central theme of the story. That was what I was curious about anyways in the last years, how they would depict our current culture in the new GTA, how they would what jokes they would make, what characters they would imitate. I'm very, very, very curious, because it's 2 more years until the release, and there's a lot of time that's gonna pass until then. And you can look at how the zeitgeist is moving, everything's going faster. I feel as if the markets are very oversaturated. You have too much of everything to really make a big connection with one thing. And that's where GTA also stands out, because they don't just spam their games. They don't just release. They wait. And then they release something. And that's always meaningful and always close to the current times, and always close to where the world is. So I'm looking forward to what they're gonna criticize, or what they're gonna see in the world, because some things they've already they've already gone into social media and the phones, but it was where the world was at in 2012. Like how it was in GTA 5 was just how the world, it was a parody of how the world was in around that time, and what would maybe be in the next years. And that's what I see them pull off in the next one as well. And then also marrying that with the more the harder elements that a GTA game always had, like the criminality, the criminals, the crime. That's the word I'm looking for. The violence. You could also see some scenes with like seemingly crazy people, right? Like the woman with the 2 axes, and they would just hold their phone in front of them, like all the chaos that was going on, the crocodiles, and especially the scenes where they were in the more nature interwoven parts of the map, right? Like the backlands, the more in nature. There were these like from behind the world people, and marrying that with like the social media era and those people that only live in the current culture, that's gonna be so interesting. And the rockstar humor on top of that, I'm looking forward to that very much. Yeah. And also, I can't speak much on what the story's gonna be. I saw that seemingly the girl is on release, right? She has a one of these jail trackers. I don't know what they're called in English properly, like these things you have around your ankle when you're released on probation, right? That's probably a huge part of the general story, at least in the beginning. You might have a failed robbery, like it's similar to what was happening in GTA 5. Might have a failed robbery, and she would go to jail. The story would continue from there, and you would have them figure out other problems that would come along the way. Like, you can't even speak on it that much. You could theorize and let your mind go many different directions. But I think the most beautiful thing about this is that it's gonna come when the time comes, and that's it. You can just leave it, enjoy the glimpses of the world you already had. And I also watched a video by IGN where I started watching it. I only watched like the first 2 minutes because I didn't have the time. It was the middle of the day where I just saw the video. I had to click on it. I watched the first 2 minutes. I saw that there's already like buildings recognized from the real Miami. I think it's Miami. I think Vice City is Miami. Yeah. And there's already buildings that actually exist on our physical world, the real Miami, that you can see depicted in the game, which I also think is really cool. That's what they always did, but with their own spin. And I'm also I'm so curious about what the radio is gonna be, what artists are gonna be on the radio, if they're gonna do the same radio stations. I've loved their radio in GTA 5 as well. The moderation of it, the humor of it was so great, and I'm looking forward to that very much. The brands in GTA as well, the parodies of real brands, like the car brands, and all of it. I wonder if there's gonna be new ones. I wonder if they're gonna show like the CEOs of things, if they're gonna nudge at Elon Musk, or they're gonna nudge at other CEOs at Mark Zuckerberg, for example. If they wouldn't, I think they nudged at that in GTA 5 as well. I don't know, but just making parodies of so many things, of so many brands, doing it with their own spin. I'm looking forward to what that's gonna be like, and if there's gonna be new ones. Yeah, because also you have so many. As the internet evolved in the beginning, it felt in real life, I'm talking right now, if in the beginning it was as if everyone was on the same page, more on the same page with what video games they played, what YouTubers they knew. It was as if most people just were on the same trending page, right? Now I feel as if there's many subcultures, and you have so many niched down circles of people with different interests, and they're drifting apart they drifted apart more and more through the years. You have these little bubbles now, and I wonder how they're gonna portray that, because there's so many things you could go with this, and it's not just okay, yeah, there's this trend in society going on and we can make a parody of that. Now you have so many little things you can make a parody of for like each culture their own. But since Rockstar is basically supplying this game to the whole world and all the cultures, all the different subcultures at the same time, and you have to supply an experience to each one, it's gonna be a thing to pull off, man. Like, imagine. And that's what I look forward to, like how they're gonna speak to all the different parts of the audience, because you no longer just have one. It was also very special about the release. I mean, it had 100 million in a short time, 100 million views. It's probably more by now. I don't even know. I'll take a look in a second, actually. But it feels like this whole generation, the whole world, and showed up for that trailer, because I mean, everyone drifted apart in their own circles, yeah, but GTA was one of these things that united all of these different subcultures, or unites them again, because it's what everyone would be excited about in 2012, and everyone knows it and everyone loved it. That's what makes it special, and that's the type of things that are very rare nowadays, because now you have so many niche products, niche video games that are each supplied to these different scenes, and only for those, and that is it. And it's not for everyone, but GTA it felt like it was for everyone. It was for a very, very broad audience. Everyone could find something they loved in that. And that's what they have to pull off on an even broader scale. And that's why I thought, what are they gonna do with, like, you know the problem, right? You could extend the scope so much, like what is necessary for the game to have that effect. Because I thought to myself also, doing especially Vice City would be a risky move, or a hard move to do, because that would mean a very niched down city, right? It's a special city. It's not like a random Utopia City 1, right? It's like, okay, yeah, it's just a city, and everyone can connect to the idea of a city. I was thinking, okay, if they only do a city, then the people that love the nature in GTA 5 will be disappointed. So in the end they have to do both, and always having to do both worlds, always having to dance in between all those different types of players. That's a challenge. But I think from looking at the trailer, they pulled that off so far. I believe everyone found something for themselves in there, and you could see so many depictions of different cultures. You could see you could see the rap guys, you could see the clubs, you could see the crazy people, you could see the gangsters, you could see all of it, all in the same game. That's what I mean. Broad, like it's so broad, it's not niche at all. Because other games, they know, okay, we focus on our player base, and they're into magic, and they're into dragons, and that's that, and we make a game like that. But with GTA, it always felt like it's a broader thing. Also, look at the radio stations. You have a radio station for basically every type of music taste, where someone can find something they like. In most cases, you could still turn it off, and if you only listen to classical music, you may not find something in there, but you may also not play GTA, right? I think there will be a classical radio station in the new one, but we'll see. But yeah, that's what I see with these games. It's what I see with where it's going. it's very exciting. It's gonna be like now it's on the rest again because you will have to wait yeah, around more than 1 year. But when that time rolls up, it's gonna be exciting, and I'm gonna be there for it, and I'm gonna buy the console, whatever it's gonna be, or however it's gonna be. I'll see. All the water also looks so clean. It's truly. I find it truly incredible. I find it truly incredible. Also wonder like how the it goes so far with this. Imagine there's bus systems, like there's buses driving around the city coordinatedly. There's trains driving around the underground coordinatedly. You've seen none of that. Imagine like the whole system of how the boats anchor to the harbor. They have like a schedule. Let alone the NPCs, like I said, how different areas of the overworld will change depending on daytime. The cars, the driving system, again, like I always loved in GTA 5, I've always loved the different scenes you could get when you switched characters, what the other ones did, because they would just also go about their lives, seemingly. Yeah, and another thing with that, when you look at the characters of GTA 5, Trevor, Franklin, and Michael, they're also very niche. They're not like you could have had one Nico Bellic type of character. It's just one character, that's it. I mean, there was the DLC characters, yeah, but that's DLCs. That was different than GTA 5, where it was really locked into the game and you played all of them throughout the story. Each of these characters is very niche as well. And now they narrowed it down to a man and a woman, and I think it looks really good. The whole game looks like a very bold testament of that they could pull off supplying to the game to the whole world and do so in an elegant way. And after seeing that, I'm sure they can pull it off again, right? Because after GTA 5, because GTA 5 is so different to 4, because 4 is more niche, 4 is more, okay, it's only a city, it's only shooting, it's more mafia, right? But then you look at 5 and it basically opens the whole spectrum, especially with the online mode, and everyone can find love in that. And it was very successful. Then I was like, can they go to the same realm? Can they do the same type of game where there is so much in it and they don't niche down? Can they do that? Can they fill it basically with the whole world, with the whole culture? Can they fill it up with everything? And seemingly they can. And they pulled it off again. So I think they can pull it off again for GTA 7 when the time rolls around. But that's like future music to the max. It's like me talking about GTA 7 now is a bit out the window, I think. But you get my point. They pulled it off now again, which I thought very hard to do. I was when I knew the trailer was gonna come out, I was like, okay, I'm a bit nervous towards the fact that, okay, is it gonna impress me as much as I hope it will? And it did. And it did. Especially, I just talked about how they supply to every player, yeah, of course. But you could say then you would have to have a similar story structure as well, but no. It looks like a love story. They pull off a fucking love story on top of supplying a world that connects to many, 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 many people. And doing that is a beautiful thing. That the main story is a love story is admirable to the max. Also speaks to what I said earlier, that they pull off the balance between egoistically making art and making what they think is good and making what they think is good for their brand and what they want to do and what they want to show to their players, whilst making it on top of a skeleton that is applicable to almost everybody that is into video gaming. And I think the open world is going to be amazing. I think there's going to be so many things. I think there's going to be many buildings to enter. I don't think every building, I would hope, but I think the world is going to be very filled with details. It's surely going to have its flaws, because I remember GTA 5 having a very bad floor textures, at least the first versions of it. If you think back, or if you look at pictures of it. Yeah, but we'll see. There's just gonna be the zeitgeist again. And I've also, though, another thing I was very impressed by when I looked, after watching the GTA 6 trailer, I went back, or even a day before, I watched the GTA 5 trailer again, and I was flabbergasted at how graphically inferior it looks. Because when I remember my reaction in 2000 and whatever it was, 12, 13, when that GTA 5 trailer came out for the first time, I was thinking, man, this looks like the future, this is amazing. Now looking at it, you see all the flaws in it, compared, of course, to the new standards of what video games can look like. You see all of the pixelation, you see the imperfections of how the NPCs move. I mean, you can go look at it now, and it seems so apparent, but when that trailer first came out, the game looked perfect. The game looked like nothing else to me. It looked as if it was straight real life. It was the best graphics I had ever seen. It was like the top of the shelf. Because it was, and that just speaks to the evolution of video games and of graphics and of the technicality of it. And that I find very amazing. And then imagine more than 10 years from now, should GTA 7 come out the same way, with the trailer on YouTube, whether YouTube's gonna still be a thing, it's, we'll see. But imagine then looking back at this now amazing looking GTA 6 trailer and thinking, well, that looks way worse than I remember, right? Because it just continues to be better. Maybe in the future we're just sitting in like this VR. You can only watch, you'll just literally sit in the trailer, sit in the city. It's gonna show you that way. I don't know what the future holds regarding that. But if it's just a video trailer, you watch it and you go back. Like, for example, it's just a video trailer. It will just take the scenario that it's gonna be a MP4 experience. You're just gonna watch a trailer of GTA 7, and that looks amazing. But in 10 years, you go back now and look at that recently amazing GTA 6 trailer, it's gonna be the same reaction you had to GTA 5. But that's always the thing, because when I talk to people that lived longer than me and they also played video games, they also say the same thing. They always thought, wow, this is amazing, this is the most amazing graphics, like with GTA 3 or the earlier GTAs. They thought that was the biggest thing in the world. And comparing it to now, it just doesn't measure up, right? Because it shouldn't, and it doesn't, and it's fine that way, because it's from a whole nother time. But I just find it amazing. Also love the music choice for the trailer. I like that it's something so traditionally rocky and yeah, nothing too modern. It also speaks to the egoistic vision of Rockstar, for it to be the GTA spirit. That's the core of it as well. But that's also what everyone can connect to, even the rap people, even the people who play that to, like, oh yeah, just go online mode and hang out with the guys on whatever. The trailer has to be like a soulful song with like a rock song, right? Old school America, and I like that they pull that off. But they marry it with the thing I discussed at length now. They marry it with that very broad view of what the game should be. They do so in an amazing way. Hope you can go to cafes in the game. I mean, you don't, that's also, you don't play GTA to go to cafes or to go to the gym. You can do that in real life. But I think that detail, being able, just being able to do that, would give the world so much depth. It would almost turn it to Sims at some point, and that's where I see the limit as well. It shouldn't be just a real life simulator, because you have to think, what will actually contribute to the greatness of the game? How much detail do you actually need? And could you use the space for these details for something else that is more conducive to the grander vision of the game? Which is greater, which is more important. So, you can take that into account as well. How much is actually necessary to pull off the experience of a vast world without going over the top? You have to find the right ratio, because you could do cafes, you could do gyms, you could do all these things. But would it be necessary? Would it be necessary, or could you leave that out and create something else amazing that is more conducive to the whole experience? That's my point. Limits, like now you have to limit yourself. I've spoken on this in my Pokemon Platinum Let's Play. You now have to, as a developer as well. I mean, limiting yourself as a human is a whole different topic. I think it also increases the quality of your life. You enjoy the things you do more if there's a limit to them, because otherwise you can just do everything at once and you don't know what to do. Basically, in some cases. You have to find your own way with that. It's another whole topic. I don't want to go into that. But as a developer now, slowly it's getting to a point where you can basically create everything. And you're stuck there and you sit there. You could do everything. And then you have to think, okay, what do I want to create? What is the limits that I'm going to give myself so I don't exceed them? And that's where the natural beauty of these DS games to me also lays. Because they had the actual limits. They had to do this 8-bit pixelated sound. They had to do this DS sound. They had to curate for the DS speakers because there was no other way. And that's why they're, in my eyes or ears, very beautiful, because they had to make something beautiful and impactful with the tools you had. And now slowly it's getting to a point where there's no more to climb. The ladder is basically infinite, and you can't just top something to just put it on top more, because the whole scale is getting close to infinity. Maybe not, but it's just getting very broad, and I think the best thing you can do in a situation like that, as an artist or as a developer or in anything, that's why I say as an artist, is carefully think of what you want to create and let it have a soul, and then give yourself limits and work in those limits and be free within those limits and use that and create something with that. That's what they had to do in the past. That's why it was naturally beautiful to me. But now it feels as if you could do everything, and that is also a lot of pressure, because what do you do then? What is the best thing to do? Is in itself striving for the best being making like theoretically making the best game in the world, but what is the best game in the world even? Wouldn't it lose its soul because you have to appeal to so many people that it would just be very bland? The music would be bland. There would be no limit. Before there would be limits, and you had imperfection because of those, and I think those are beautiful, and those made those pieces of art beautiful. This is what made the Platinum soundtrack beautiful, and the whole DS Pokemon soundtracks. And now you can just use MP4. You don't have to rely on the DS speakers. You don't have to tone down the quality. You just don't. You can just do it how you like. You could even use vocals in the background. You could put anything in there. There's no cap on it, but the cap made for the artist to express themselves within that cap and use those limits and use them out and fully get the whole potential of it. Because if you're limitless, what is the potential? It's infinite. You could do everything with it. It doesn't have the charm of certain limits. That's what I'm saying. And that's what I also think they're going to pull off in a nice way, because I'm sure they know of this thinking, of this thought. And that's what I also thought, like, that's going to be the biggest challenge with a game like that, because you also have such a broad audience. You then have to balance that with niching down on some ideas and limiting yourself to some ideas, and not try to be everything at once to the maximum, just because you could, because in the end it would just be nothing. Because if you don't have a limit, there's infinite. And that, if you put the limits yourself, you can work within that, and you have something to work with. Make something beautiful. That's what I believe some companies, even some artists, have to catch up with. Because just running after the recent trend and trying to top that, is there truly beauty in that? I don't think so. And isn't just finding the limits you want to have and working within that, isn't that beautiful? Like finding the sound you want for the music, finding the visual qualities you want, and looking for, okay, what is the things I need for that? And not just thinking, what can I do? Because by now you could almost do everything. To look at, what do I want for the thing that I create? What does it thrive from? And then you take these things and you leave everything else out. And that takes limitation, takes discipline, and that's what the whole world is lacking currently. But that's also because you could just have everything at once, because the internet just can supply it to you instantaneously and you don't have to do anything for it. Pornography, video games, in access. I think video games are beautiful. Video games pull off beautiful experiences. It's like a movie you watch, but you're in it. There's a whole world you can explore. But just marveling at that and then returning, that's the challenge of it. Marveling at it, then returning to your world and going about your life. Because you want to live that, truly. Because that's what it is for me. I want to live a very fulfilled life. But I think video games contribute to that because I've always loved them. I've learned much from them. I've seen much in them that truly inspired me. That's why I'm really reluctant to say it's just time consuming. Yes, it is. It can be time consuming. It can get to a point where it's completely unnecessary. But taking your time with it and enjoying an experience as vast as video games, whenever the moment is appropriate, whenever the moment is truly magical and you can really enjoy yourself and not just play it for the dopamine hit, not just play it for grinding to the next level, but you actually want to go. Like when I think, okay, do I want to play now? It's like, am I gonna really take time in it and enjoy the world that was built, or am I just gonna dash away at it and try to grind to the next thing and really play it like in an in like a disciplined way, but in a bad way, right? Like when you play, if you've been gaming, you've known this. You know, when you have these sessions where you just grind to the next level, where it's not about having fun, it's like work. You have to work in the game. And I don't think that's what it's for. Before I even play a video game, I think to myself, do I right now want to enjoy this, or just want to grind to the next level? Because if you just want to grind to the next level in it, I think you are very, very, very wise to just do so in your real life, because that's where that belongs. And the video game should be marveling, to me, it should be marveling at the world. It truly taking it in like a movie and enjoying it and letting it have its effect on you as an experience. And it shouldn't be work. It shouldn't be a grind. I mean, in some ways, that can be the experience in it, right? But you still enjoy the experience of grinding. You don't just force yourself to play the game and force yourself to level up, but you enjoy the experience of doing so. That's different. And that's why I always look for being in the right mind state before I even touch a video game. At least in the optimal case. That's what it is. Sometimes I catch myself, okay, I'm too focused right now. I just want to complete the next mission. Why? Why do you even play then? Turn it off, return next time. For me, that's that way. I really understand just grinding away at a game, but I'm at a point in my life where I value many other things. But I remember times in my youth where I would just grind away at the game. I wouldn't have fun doing it. I would just want to complete the thing and destroy that and like get to the next thing. But now I do that in my real life, and I turn to video games as an experience that is beautiful and that charges me, and that is inspirational, that is restful. That's what I look for in it. Even if I'm grinding in the game, but I need my mind to be in that state of truly wanting to take it in, and not just in a work-like, okay, I have to grind to the next level now. That's not what I want if I play a video game. Exact opposite. I was surprised at how full the trailer was. I was expecting something very minimal. I was expecting something very minimalistic and something very against that pull of, okay, now you have to make a game for every single part of the world. Everyone has to be able to find their own niche in it. But no, they pulled the whole thing off. It seems they supply to every single subculture, right? Like what I said. And it's so impressive, and I already pulled my hat. In front of them, because that's just truly amazing. Such a hard thing to do, probably. So much goes into that. Because it feels like back then you had one zeitgeist to supply. Back then, everyone was kind of on the same page with what social media was, where social media was at, where the YouTubers were. Everyone was watching kind of the same news, you would say. Everyone had the same news, everyone had the same trends in their lives, everyone knew the same chart songs. But now it's all very diversified, and I think they pulled off that diversification very much, and I'm very excited for it. I'm repeating myself with that, but it's just amazing to me. Also wonder if it's gonna be early 2025 or late. I'm guessing it's late. I also hope it to be late. I want them to take as much time with it as they want, because I think it should be amazing. And I always like how much time Rockstar takes with their games, and then they just come around the corner and they drop it, and they drop a trailer like that, and the whole world shows up. Everyone knows it's gonna be quality. There's no discussion that this game is gonna be quality, right? Because it hasn't been different. It has not ever been. They have delivered. Everything they delivered was genuine and pure in the end. A lot of work in there, of course. Was probably a whole lot of messing around with everything and trying so many things. But in the end, it came down to a great game and a great experience. With everything, even with Red Dead Redemption. And even looking at the leap graphically, like I have barely spoken like specifically what the graphic just meant. I was the first seconds of the trailer, it had to even. In the first 2-3 seconds, I had to make it clear to myself that this is literally potentially actual gameplay engine. This is what the thing is gonna look like. When the plane was flying by with the organically swinging flag behind it. Like, you can watch the trailer now, you can watch the trailer in between listening to me, whatever. But it's amazing to me how that thing was just flying in the wind, and it would just the physics engine of it, like the air flying around with it. Imagine then how different the air would be when it's raining, like the different weather types and how it would impact the physics of the world. The rain hitting the floor, like I said in the beginning. The rain, the sun, different daytimes. I'm gonna explore all of it and walk around the small city streets and search the magic in there. For sure. And yeah, I was just looking it up. Grand Theft Auto 6 trailer 1 is at 1 million. 100 and not 1. I was just reading. 117 million clicks 2 days ago. It's amazing. Like, the whole world showed up because they just know. And I'm seeing the logo again, and like the pink colors and the white and the minimalistic white text. It reminds me so much of the Instagram logo. And I think it's just a nod at the times. I'm so excited. And I love that coupled with the just this traditional, also rooty spirit of Rockstar. That's their own thing again, that they just used a song like that. Love is a long road. And that song also speaks to the story that's probably going to be there, the relationship that we're going to see. It's truly amazing to me. It's going to be... that story alone, I think, is such a great choice. It's an amazing... It's an amazing choice. I couldn't have chosen it better. Like, if you had me choose the main characters, after a bit of reflection, it would either have been one man or that. And I think that, like what it is now, a man and a woman, a love story, you could do so many cool things with it. That would be my number one choice, for sure. For sure. Definitely. Also looking forward to not even just the radio, but the general soundtrack, the background ambient soundtrack, the mission music, because that's always also evolved. If you look at GTA Online, I mean, in the normal GTA 5 story mode, you had your stock soundtracks that stayed the same because it was just a story. You had them once when released in 2013, but in the online mode there was differences depending on the zeitgeist of when the update came out. You had an update that came out 2016 or whatever, when the car stealing missions came out, and then he suddenly had a trap beat, like what the current rap sound, the current beat sounds were. You had a background soundtrack that was basically that. You had the whole zeitgeist of a certain music scene in the new background music, and I'm curious of what they're gonna do with that, and like what the stock soundtrack of the normal story will be, and then the, like I talked about with GTA Online, the evolution of the soundtrack within GTA Online, the evolution of what tracks are gonna be added in once updates come out, and how the whole world's gonna change. I wonder if I'll get a PS6 by then, because yeah, you could say, of course it's gonna come out on PS5, but you don't know, maybe not. I don't even know how old the PS5 is. Let's look it up. PS5 release date. Yeah, there's laptops and stuff like Express. Of course there is. That was 2020. It looks like maybe it's just gonna stay. Maybe it's just gonna be the PS5. Well, you don't know. I don't care. I don't even care. By the time, I'll just drop the money on whatever console that thing plays on. I won't. I have a Mac. I won't bother to switch to PC or something. Won't ever. I don't think I will. I don't think there's gonna be a reason for me to acquire a gaming capable PC, because I just work so beautifully on Mac. I love the interface. I've always had it. Just speaks to me design wise, and just the types of programs I have on there. It works perfectly with me. I've always been a console person. Always DS, PS3, PS4, Wii U. Wii U only rarely. Wii U was really. I just bought a Wii U to, play old Wii games, of course, but then play like the remakes of things on the Wii U. It's also great. Sadly, my Wii that could play GameCube broke. I don't have that anymore. That broke. I had Pokemon XD on there, which holds my favorite Pokemon, which is Cryptolugia. Forever lost in the mist. Sold it to a friend back then. Wonder if he still has it. I don't have contact with him anymore, because there was differences. It's just the way it is. It was like I was like whatever 13. We lost contact. We're not close anymore. It's one of these things. I still have very very old friends. We go back a lot. Very old friends. I value that very much, having those people around me. But that is one person I don't have an affiliation with anymore. I sold it to them back then. And I wonder if that person, if he still has it. I actually wonder. Well, I don't know if I'll ever know. Maybe if I ever see him again, I'll ask him. That's the only thing I want to know. We'll see. I might ask him. It's a cool thing to think about whenever I shall meet cross paths again. Yeah, I only had, like, the only GameCube game I ever had was Pokemon XD, and then my Wii that could play GameCube would break. Then I bought a new Wii, couldn't play GameCube anymore, was sad about it, sold Pokemon XD. Then I thought, okay, I want to play the Twilight Princess remake. I want to play Mario Kart on the Wii U. I want to play Breath of the Wild. What do? Bought a Wii U. Didn't have a Switch. Back then, at least, I only have a Switch since this year, since the new Zelda came out. Just for that, actually. I don't even know what else I even want to play on the Switch. I'm not interested in new Pokemon. So, I might have to go through the catalog again and look at the games, look at what I might be interested in. But yeah, that was my trajectory. Bought the Wii U to play Wii and Wii U. Sadly, no Pokemon XD for me. Might just see if there's a good emulator for Pokemon XD, so I can finally play the whole game, because I've never played it to the end as well. Never freed Cryptolugia. Also, I really like Cryptolugia. It's really cool. It's my favorite. If you can let me choose my favorite Pokemon, it's that. Also like that it's so rare that you can't get it anywhere else. Like, very good friend of mine explained to me recently why. I don't even remember it very detailedly or correctly. I don't want to chop it too much, but I think there was copyright issues with who made or designed Cryptolugia. That's why they legally can't even use it in other games. They just can't. They're not allowed to, because they don't have the rights to do it, because someone else created it outside of the company now. But it's still my favorite Pokemon. That's it. If you ask me, my favorite Pokemon. That's it. And it's a bit it speaks to my, not image, speaks for me that that I end the GTA 6 podcast with telling stories like that, because I've said everything. I've said all that I think about with where this is gonna go. I think we're in for a ride, I want to set the thought out there to remember this time very vividly, because if I look back at the times where the GTA 5 trailer came out, I would listen to that song from the trailer, or the songs from the trailers, years down the line. I would remember this trailer as like a hallmark of a certain spirit of times. We know it would always have a special place in my heart. The trailer, the music, the times themselves, I would remember very vividly. And I would advise you as a listener, now, pay close attention to how the current times are. And just know that you might just look back in 2, 3, 4 years and think of this as in great nostalgia, and remember this era vividly where you first saw the GTA 6 trailer. Then you played the game, and then you had a whole different life when the game came out. It might just be a very special thing that you're currently sitting in. You're currently sitting in the times you will remember in the future. Because always like watching the GTA 5 trailer made it clear to me as well. That was such a big thing for me back then, and I remember the spirit of the time so vividly just looking at that. And the songs would be by my side along with me through the next years in my life, and it had such a big impact. That one trailer had such a big impact, like the spirit of it, the vibe of it, and just pay like be aware that you might just be in one of those moments again, and we are in for a ride for the whole thing, because it's gonna be a great game, or it has the potential to be. So that's that. That's what I want to leave you with. That's the main thing I actually thought of when I watched the trailer, that it's gonna, or before I watched the trailer, when it was announced that it's gonna come out, I said it to everyone around me: pay attention to the times around you now, because of course it's gonna be different, because no times are exactly the same. Even if especially if you want them to be, they're not gonna be the same. It's always different. You have to always have a new eye for the future. I'm just taking how the moment is now, but it might just be a grand zeitgeist. A grand moment in the times you're witnessing. So pay close attention to that every time something like this happens. So in general, like, just know that you might just remember that in years and be like, ooh, that was the times, or that was times, that was amazing. And now I listen to the songs, and they stayed with me for a long time. They were along for the ride with me in the car that I drive through the roads that is my life. So remember those times. And yeah, I'm sure it's gonna be great. I think they're gonna pull off the balance. Thank you.